I was.
Stop banging.
See, it was on.
I can't get Jamie. Oh,
I have the audience with him.
that's good. What time you got? I will turn my phone.
5:57.
Whoa.
So is that stop and go light better now, Jim?
Yeah, it is. No more backed up traffic.
Every time I go through, there's no traffic anywhere. It's like,
I know, it's doing good. Cause at one time it was almost backed up to the split. That's when they put out that the light wasn't turning green or something like that. It was only, the arrow was green and then it would just recycle.
you didn't ask for the remote where you can change it from your car yet.
How did they do this, you know?
I don't know. I used to tell the kids all the time, I'll push the button to make a change, you know, as you count, you see it go from yellow to the other side, yeah. I always had them believe I could change the light.
Jeff just doesn't wanna tell you he's got the ambulance button.
I can't get it to move in any closer. Jeff, you're gonna really have to yell loud. I can't get it to zoom in.
Well,
That's okay, isn't it?
I mean, it's not like looking at our mouths move makes a difference.
as long as they can hear us.
Right.
Yeah, especially you and Sean, or whoever speaks.
All right, I got 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the Village Board and Plan Commission meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
For the Village Board, President Jeff Millies,
Here.
Trustee Jay Pecca,
Here.
Trustee Dylan Newman,
Here.
Trustee Jim Hirth.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum of your Village Board for the Plan Commission, President Jeff Millies,
Here.
Trustee Commissioner Dylan Newman,
Here.
Commissioner Mario Rinaldi,
Here.
Commissioner Michael Alex,
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Schlesman.
Here.
Mr. President, note for record, you have a quorum of your Plan Commission. Also note for the record that our zoning and planning administrator, Sean Malarkey, is here, and you're in full compliance with the open meetings law.
All right, I'd like to read the following notice. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Vernon Village Board and Plan Commission on Wednesday, June 10th at 6 p.m. at the Village Hall. Take comments on the request from Ken Sedello to amend the Village of Vernon zoning map from RRD 5 Rural Residential Density District 5 acre to the B3 General Business District for 3.17 acres along National Avenue in association with proposed land division / reconfiguration and the remainder of the property to the R4 multifamily residential district. The properties are located at South 68 West 22850 and South 68 West 22870 National Avenue, Vernon, Wisconsin. Tax keys VNT 2019990 and 2019989. Existing zoning overlay districts will remain. For questions, comments, or copies of the amendment request, please contact the administrator clerk or go to our village website under public hearings to view more information. All parties will be heard. Sean, you wanna kick it off?
Sure, Karen, you wanna switch over to the overhead? So I guess I would suggest, I'll give an overview of sort of the history of the project and what's happening, and basically what they're asking for, but it might be a good idea after that, since it is such a complicated project, to have.
I don't think your microphone's on.
They're finicky sometimes. Yours isn't on either.
I turned mine off.
Oh, mine just came on. Can you?
Push it once more.
There you go.
Now it's on.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. So I was suggesting that I provide an overview just of the history of the project and the history of the parcels. And then I would suggest the petitioner just give us an overview of what they're proposing, and then I could come back with some more details. Does that sound okay? All right, so. Now it is. Okay, so we are talking tonight, here's National Avenue, here's Enterprise Drive. We're talking about two parcels. One is this large parcel here, and then the smaller parcel directly west. They both front National Avenue. There's a house on both of them with some accessory buildings. So this started back in 2024. Petitioner came forward and wanted to do some duplex development on the larger parcel. And at the time, looked at the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan has the property plan for residential business transition, which essentially allows these properties to transition over time to commercial uses, provided they're compatible with the surrounding development. It did not allow an expansion of residential use, so they petitioned the village to change the comp plan for the language in the residential business transition district to also allow new residential uses. So allowed commercial uses, allowed new residential uses, and residential uses would be allowed at a density of up to 1 unit per 15,000 square feet of space. So that also coincided with some of the changes that we made to the R4 multifamily district, which they're essentially asking for the residential portion. That also that requires 15,000 square feet per dwelling unit. So that's sort of a match in terms of what they're asking for. So when they brought this forward originally, after the comp plan language got changed, they brought it for a rezoning in 2024 as well, and asked for a rezone of the whole parcel to R4 residential according to what the comp plan said. At the time, the plan commission and board said, well, hang on, National Avenue is out front. We think there should be some commercial uses on National Avenue. And so they denied the rezoning essentially for that reason, and also because that their entrance didn't align with Enterprise Drive. And so we sent them away. They came back in May with a revised concept. So foregoing the rezoning, just a revised concept to get feedback. The concept showed 15 duplex buildings, 30 total units on a private road, and then one commercial lot fronting National Avenue. The discussion at the time was essentially locating space for separate stormwater management, constructing the private drive to village road standards, doing the soil testing, obtaining from Waukesha County permission for the access point on National Avenue, and then at the time, because of the cul-de-sac length, talking to the fire chief regarding that. Our ordinance has since changed for the cul-de-sac length, so currently what's proposed for the cul-de-sac meets our ordinances. There's no exceptions or waivers needed. So that's the last time we saw them was, basically 2 years ago. Now they're back. They've since acquired the smaller property to the west. Oh, Karen did.
We still wanted that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So they since acquired that smaller property, so they have both of them. So both properties. So the combined project area is 23.56 acres, a large parcel with the small parcel. So I'm gonna kind of cover everything here. I know we're talking about the rezone now for the public hearing. They're looking for a certified survey map to basically take both those properties, develop 2 commercial lots up front, and then the 1 residential parcel in the back. They're asking for the rezone for the residential portion to R4, the multifamily district, and then lots 2 and 3 to which front National Avenue for commercial to the B3 general business district. There's existing overlays in place. There's like an environmental corridor overlay and then a wetland overlay. those would remain in place essentially, but they would be modified slightly based on their new delineations because they had those delineated. And then finally, they're asking for site plan of operation approval for the overall development, the commercial portion, and the residential portion. So the same number of units are proposed, even though they have 2 lots now. There's 15 duplex buildings in the back, which total of 30 units, so 2 units per building. There's a mix of ranch and 2-story designs. And then the commercial buildings up front are essentially office warehouse buildings, 12,000 square feet each, so 36,000 square feet total. There's 4 units in each building, so 12 total units. And the uses that are sort of envisioned for those would be small businesses. They might be contractors, vendors, caterers, or similar, or just used for storage potentially. But each one would have an office and a restroom. Everything would be available for lease. So the commercial units up front are leased. The duplexes are leased. All would be currently under one owner. They're currently working with Waukesha County for their stormwater management plan. So their plans do show stormwater bioinfiltration basins north of the commercial, and then stormwater pond for the residential. Let's see. I think that's it. I guess the comment I would make is that it's, the property is wooded. That's obviously the north is fully wooded. There is tree lines to the east, although to the east is our storage units basically. That's a commercial use. That's zone B3. To the west, our residential properties, there's a residential property here and there's a residential property here. But again, there is a substantial vegetative buffer there. So they are working with that. We can talk about the details of the landscape plan and so on later, but I just wanted to set the stage as to what they're asking for and what some of the history was. So now might be a good time to get some more info from the petitioner, and I can pop up anything on the screen from their application as we talk.
Does Ken want to come forward?
Just let me know what you want me to show. If you want me to just the site plan now, would that be okay?
I don't think his mic's on.
There it is. Hi, thank you. Ken Sodello, petitioner for the development.
So did Sean get everything correct?
He did, yes. So back when we had came in the past, our concept was to preserve the back area with residential development. And we build very high quality, long-lasting, we're long-term owners. Our latest development was in Greenfield during COVID. It was coincidentally 30 units as well. And it had a big wetland area, so we had to cluster the development in one area and leave the wetlands and everything alone. And that was a very successful development. These are more like homes. These are not just, they're almost 2,000 square feet, the single family, and or the ranches are single, no barrier units, so they're good for older generations. We have 2-story units. That's a 2-story unit there. They all are built with 2-car garages, so the cars don't have to sit in a driveway, because most families, whether it's a family or a couple, or will have 1 or 2 cars. We're at a lot of our developments, we have what's called up the driveway trash service. So the trash cans go right in your garage, just like a residential home. And so there's a lot of pride in the occupants that live in these residences. And so we're trying to give them a real home, not just an apartment. And the renderings and the materials that we use are much more high quality than the average for this type of development. But we want it to be a very quality development. It's with the small amount of units, it's more of a boutique type development. So it's not a mass amount of people, and we're able to really handpick our tenants that will come to us and make sure they're the right fit. So we take a lot of pride in what we operate. We self-manage it, we self-maintain it. 3 of my kids are here tonight who are working in the business and learning it, and ones at Marquette going to school for their real estate program. So we're very involved with the development. And the houses are spaced out nicely. We've added one park area that would have a gazebo. We put in elevated gardening plots with, we'll get water supplied to them and have some rain barrels. We'll have a fire pit, walking trails around it, and just make it like a small park. And we're thinking of even doing that there's another corner over there that's kind of unoccupied, kind of kitty corner, not there. The other corner between the two duplexes, right? Nope, right there. We might be able to put a park area in there as well. So they have some natural spaces. It's not like a typical apartment complex where you're gonna have a fitness center and all that kind of amenities, but the natural amenities we put in with the gazebo and the trestles, we put in a bird sanctuary. We kind of give back to nature. That one secondary park will probably have apple trees and fruit trees that tenants can share in having, and we'll maintain them. That's part of the ambiance that we want to create there. So it allows for that. As I mentioned, on the single-story ranch units, we're going to try to make them barrier-free. Sometimes we're going to try to put in additional features in the homes that may be for like the hard of hearing. So if you're ringing the doorbell, it'll blink lights, just different things for all ages to accommodate a better audience of occupants. Moving forward to the commercial development, we've allowed for the one main access into the complex. So the residential, we felt from our prior meetings that it's a much better use of the land back there with all the natural barriers versus having all commercial buildings back there, that the residential would be a much better fit with the homes back there, and then the commercial up front, which will screen it. And what I like to we're calling it the Vove Innovation Business Campus. We have several developments that we've done and property we own that are business incubator spaces. These in this case are going to be about 3,000. They're going to be 3,000 square feet each. Have the bathroom, have a small office. We've taken so many people that have kind of outgrown their garage and needed space and have moved into our spaces, and we really work with them because they don't know how to hire different people to do what they need. So if they need a sink or some type of accommodation in their space or an outlet for something, we accommodate that. And we've grown people that were very small and they outgrow our spaces. Or they'll rent a second space to help them grow. So these aren't storage spaces. They are meant for small businesses that range from just about anything like, we have a book distributor at one, different showrooms for whether it's a cabinet guy or a granite guy, graphic designers, printers, engineering firms that need to store some of their survey equipment. We have a medical supply distributor and certain e-commerce or packaging companies. We have a water treatment distributor, so for his well pumps and water softeners and such. So very, compact businesses that these spaces provide what they need in a very simple way. There was a question on the area that's going to be in between the two buildings, that 65-foot area.
Yeah, let me show what
Yeah.
I'm talking about there. So yeah, the question that I had in my staff report, there's a paved area between the buildings. There's no doors here. What is the purpose
No,
of that?
that's more of a staging area for shipping and receiving. So if somebody's going to get a delivery, the truck can pull in there. If they have to pull out their pallet jacks or forklift, the truck won't be parking in the driveway and where the cars are coming and go. So it's kind of a staging area. Maybe it'll be a snow push area.
Got it.
After we thought, we were thinking of putting a permanent flush-mounted hydraulic dock unit there that would be flush with the ground, but if somebody had a truck and they needed to get something off a higher dock truck, it's a hydraulic dock that goes up the height, you pull your item off, and then it lowers to the ground. So when it's not in use, it's lowered in the ground, so it goes away. But it would just be kind of a shipping and receiving and staging area. Nothing overnight, just throughout the day for deliveries and whatnot.
So nothing parked there overnight?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But we've kind of done a really nice job putting together both the commercial and the residential to be able to accommodate and still preserve all the natural areas and really have more of a community than just a rental area.
Okay. So, thank you. So I do have a number of questions and comments. Do you?
Go ahead.
Should I just run through them? Yeah. So for the comp plan, in my opinion, it does meet the comprehensive plan in terms of what was envisioned for the plan and the densities and so on. So that's fine. The zoning that they're asking for, it does also meet the zoning. So the R4 again requires 15,000 square feet per unit, but it excludes all wetlands and floodplains, et cetera. And so they would be allowed based on the size of, the shape of lot 1, and I'll bring up the CSM here, which is this. Here's the certified survey map. Lot 1's in back, and then lot 2 and 3 are front. Based on the size, they would be allowed 31 residential dwelling units. They're proposing 30, so they're, obviously close to the max. I did have some comments about I think the architecture of the 2-family residential looks good. The business campus buildings, less so. They're basically 150 feet long each, which this is what you see, 3 buildings that look like this on National Avenue. I appreciate that the materials, I think the intent was to match the materials with the materials of the residential. So they're using the same palette, the hardy plank, horizontal siding, asphalt shingles. There's a couple of cupolas up top. I guess I think, obviously it adds expense to it, but if there was some vertical plane changes in the building where a little portion
Yeah,
was
we could do
portion was
something.
stepped back, or the roof plane changed a little bit.
We could do, even if we kind of balanced it, because there's 4 3,000 square foot units where one, either we put in gable roof,
Yeah,
dormers,
a return on it, yeah.
or we've done it where we've elevated one section of roof, then a lower section, elevated it,
Exactly what I'm talking about. Something that breaks up the plane of the wall and plane
and
of
the
the
roof. Yeah. With the wall, we could also do that. Instead of just having all horizontal siding, we can put dividing mutton bars and do a section of horizontal, like maybe a different type of
Yeah,
metal siding.
maybe a piece that bumps out, it gets a whole nother material or something
Yeah.
on it would be.
Yeah,
The other thing was the horizontal, these are kind of like horizontally emphasized with the shutters and so on. Makes it look longer than it is. If they're more vertical, it emphasizes
Yeah, we could
that.
reshape the windows.
So just some suggestions to
Yeah.
to pretty up the building. So that was my first comment with architecture. Landscaping, I think the landscaping plan is very good. It exceeds the requirements in our ordinance for landscaping. We require street frontage landscaping, which they've done. They've met the quantity amounts. We require district boundary landscaping, basically the perimeter of the whole parcel, if it adjoins up to a parcel that's less intensive. So on the east, it's B3, that's not less intensive. They don't have to do any landscape on the perimeter of the side to the east. They would have to do it to the west. However, there's already a substantial vegetative buffer there, so I didn't think a need for a few more trees there was necessary. There's parking lot landscaping, building foundation landscaping, general site landscaping, surface area landscaping. As far as I know, there really isn't any service areas. All of the refuse containers will be stored indoors for these buildings.
Yeah,
so
most of the
that's not
tenants, smaller will be.
not a concern. parking, the only comment I'd make with parking for these buildings is that we don't really know what the use is gonna be ultimately for them. I think it averages out to 4 or 5 spaces per unit when you take a look at it, which may be enough. I think the important thing to make a note of is that as each new business comes in, they need to come in front of the plan commission and board. We need to make sure it meets the zoning. We document their plan of operation, make sure there's enough parking available, so.
Yeah, we do that now. And most of these spaces, I mean, some spaces are not used, whether it's a vendor that works out in the field or somebody that uses it for logistics or warehousing. We have a paper products person that just has all his shipments brought in. And then each day he loads up his van and he goes and delivers all day. So there's nobody there. So on an
Yeah, I
average.
know most of them are not there during the day.
No,
So
I mean, so even if you average 3 per 12 units, that's 36 spots. I think we have like 54 spots.
Yeah,
So even if there was a visitor,
we just want to make sure that there's not,
Yeah.
there's not a bunch of people working during the day in there and it's going to overload parking. So,
we suffer with that too. If
okay.
we run out
So
of parking.
lighting plan was provided. That looks good. They did a photometric plan. It's basically zero at the property lines. All the lighting is for the business campus is cut off downward facing. The residential has, traditional residential sconces, which isn't a concern. I mentioned cul-de-sac length isn't a concern. Sanitary, they're basically, it's holding tanks for the commercial, right?
Yes,
Okay, so holding tanks for the commercial, that's being permitted through the county. There's 4 shared mound systems for the duplexes. There's 1 mound system here, there's a mound system here, and there's 2 mound systems actually in the environmental corridor. So that's not prohibited, but it's something that explicitly has to be permitted as part of this process.
and
So-
I'd really like to invite Todd Stair was able to make it tonight from Heron Environmental.
Okay.
And he's got some really good viewpoints on
Okay,
that.
yeah, let me
There's-
get through my comments
Sure.
and then we can see so, yeah, I mentioned before that the environmental corridors and the wetlands were delineated October 3rd, so that's all been updated as part of the plans. In terms of the wetlands though, I did have some concerns about the offsets from some of the wetlands. So some of these buildings are pretty close, right? So they're about 15 feet or just over 15 feet away. 15 feet is the minimum setback that we have from wetlands, but the ordinance is allowed to increase it if we think there's gonna be direct runoff to the wetlands or as a specifically, sensitive wetland or whatever it is. So I'm not saying the building can't be within 15 feet, it can, but there really isn't much of a backyard here. And there isn't much of a backyard behind these 2 units because they are so close to the wetland. So
Yeah.
don't respond yet. Let me get through it. So that's that. The road, we mentioned the road it's a private road. It's at the access point with Enterprise Drive. They're working with the county. The county they don't have their permit yet, but the county has responded in terms of the type of intersection and the tapering for acceleration and deceleration. So that's been put in there. That's really the only place to put it. Stormwater management, they're working with the county on that right now. It's still preliminary, but I mentioned the 2 bioinfiltration basins that are north of the commercial that would take their runoff. This one straddles the lot line, which I'm not crazy about. I don't know why that is. It might make more sense to make this lot a little bit larger to coincide with that. I know the county hasn't weighed in either, but maintenance and management of this could be a problem if and when one of these is sold off from the other one. So if you keep the commercial and sell off the residential down the line or something, there's
Yeah.
gonna be it's gonna be a headache.
which
So
is
that-
not our plan, but
something
as
that's
long as
addressed.
even if there's an easement built into.
I know,
or-
but the county may not be thrilled about
Sure.
that either, so I guess you'll have to get through that. Our surveyor had some technical comments, our engineer had some comments too. The only one that I wanna mention, master grading plan, there's no grading shown except for the roadway here, so we need a grading plan for everything.
Yeah, we know that, yeah.
So that's all my comments, nothing major, but things that can
Yeah,
be
those
addressed.
are all the fine details. With those wetland areas that are shown behind the homes, currently those are they're wetland areas, but they're just grass. So it won't feel like it's an instant thing. Plus with all the community areas we have throughout the complex throughout the development, there's a lot of natural areas that are able to be used. And over time, whether there's a small deck or something put on there, but we'll stay away from those areas,
Well, the deck couldn't be within
15 feet.
15 feet.
Yeah.
Am I on or off? No worries. So, again, it's not a deal breaker. I guess,
No.
where do the gutters flow to the wetland, or they flow into the front, to the street?
I think the grading is towards the street.
Yeah, but the back half of this roof, where's that going?
Yeah, that hasn't been designed yet, but
So we wouldn't want the stormwater to go directly into the
No.
roof. We want the gutter system to
yeah,
essentially
which
take
they
it back.
could be pitched that way to go
Take it
out
back out
towards
to
the
the road.
front.
And that was one of the engineer's comments too. He wanted more comments on that, so.
And we might be able to do underground piping for that drain tile
Oh,
towards, to
back to the road,
the drainage swales.
yeah.
But it's not a wet area both those areas are not wet on a daily basis.
Right, in spring though, they might be pretty mucky.
Yeah.
Did you want to take comments from the plan commissioner board, or?
I had a couple of questions. Do the units all gonna have full basements?
No, they're slab on grades.
Slab on grades, okay. Other comment, I mean, this is exactly what we asked for 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But now with the soccer development going in down the street, any consideration of putting in like a pizza place, sub place, more fast food restaurant type services to service that down there?
Yeah, we were looking at, there's one veterinarian, animal hospital that wanted more of a service customer-based business. We're definitely not against that. We're gonna,
Okay.
and that's where we like to cooperate. We help with getting them in there. So if it's participating and getting through the planning commission for their use and coming up with, the improvements that they'd need to help in, that's definitely something we would look at.
Okay. Plan commission, village board, you guys got more questions?
Yeah, this is for Sean. I tried to read through this stormwater management plan, and, last time we talked, where the water's going is a big deal to a lot of people. It's written in English, but it's not written in my kind of English. They say, well, we use this standard, we get the rates, this is acceptable, that's acceptable. Do you have a feel for, are they, I didn't see anything that said there was so much, impervious material before, now there's this, there was one, I forget it, there's so many documents here. One talked about maybe, I thought a second pond, but there's only one pond here, right?
Yeah, I don't usually spend a ton of time looking at stormwater, only because the village
County
relegates
does
that to the county. The county is in charge of stormwater management, and so they ensure that post-development runoff rates don't exceed pre-development runoff rates. I mean, that's the sort of the golden rule, and so that's what all the stormwater planning is about, how it's kept on site and treated and so on and so forth. So
they have
all
to
of
do
this, all of this is conditioned on the county approving the stormwater management plan. And so they've obviously spent some time engineering this and looking at this. It hasn't been
Yeah.
approved by the county yet, but I think they probably feel pretty good about, where things are at based on all the money they've put into the design.
There's a
at
lot
this
of
point.
data here, it's just hard to
Yeah,
assess.
and again, it's outside of my expertise too. We rely on the county for that. And the village engineer doesn't look at it more, we look at the grading in general, but we don't look at the details of stormwater again, because that is handled by the county.
So everything that we might approve will be dependent upon the county's approval of the stormwater management plan.
Conditioned on the county's approval of stormwater management, conditioned on the sanitary systems being approved, conditioned on the access to National Avenue being approved.
I'm a little interested in hearing about the sanitary.
I am too, but I got one more question for you before you let him speak. I understand that there's already a lot of screening on the property for the neighboring properties. But would you be opposed to doing something like a fence, something decent looking, kind of on the perimeter to keep people, keep tenants and other occupants kind of away from the neighboring properties?
Yeah, I think we discussed that once before.
Yeah.
If that was an issue, I mean, we don't have that because the stigma of tenants maybe has a bad rap, and these are residents, these are homes, and we don't have those issues like that, and we're very strict to what we have in our lease documents and infractions. So, I'm not worried about it, but it is something if that, if we wanted
Something
to
you'd
put
be
a.
open to.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
We originally approved the 3 acres, right? Now, did you purchase the property next adjacent to you?
Originally approved maybe the 20 acres, and we bought the 3 acres
Well,
next to it.
we didn't approve anything.
Yeah.
We only approved the change of the comprehensive plan language, but nothing has been approved. We've only seen concepts previously for the 20 acres, not the 3. So that 3 acres added to it is addition to the last time this came forward, yeah.
Which gave us more frontage on National Avenue to be able to
Do more
accommodate.
commercial.
Yeah. Could Todd maybe come up and talk about the environmental?
Yeah,
Or do
the last question I have
Oh.
is any thought to some additional landscaping between the commercial and your residential? I
Yeah,
mean,
we could put,
This looks directly to that.
Yeah.
There could certainly be some more landscaping.
there's a lot of
there.
separation between it, in distance, but we could put up some, the taller, like Techni arborvitaes mixed in with some spruce trees, some
Yeah,
permanent
even if
year-round.
it's not 100% opaque, but just breaks it up a little bit would be.
We're fine with that. We like,
I like that idea.
and I don't know exactly why that bio basin is sitting right on that lot line. If it can be just moved into lot,
Well, because of the parking, you'd have to make the lot a little bit bigger, right?
we may, with the grade change, we might have to do a retaining wall or something there, but.
So the question, making the lot bigger shouldn't be an issue as long as it's no bigger than 15,000 square feet. Because again, your density is, the residential parcel essentially
Yeah.
is 1 unit per 15,000 square feet. You could do up to 31 units like
Yeah.
that. So you could lose a little bit of area, but not too much area
Yeah.
and still get the density. So again, this is really the public hearing for the rezoning.
Yeah.
The action items on the CSM and the site plan of operation and so on are later on.
All right, should we bring forward the
Yeah.
environmental guy?
Yeah, would you be able to come? Right here. Yeah.
Hi. I'm Todd Stair, owner and president of Hare Septic and Sewer. We did all soil testing out there to determine both stormwater and the sanitary issues out there. And you said you had some questions, or?
Because wasn't it, what did we go through? It was close to the environmental
Two of them were
corridor.
in the environmental corridor.
Yeah,
I think.
it's these two mounds. So Mound A and Mound D are in the environmental corridor. And there's trees in there. So what is the plan for putting the mound systems in?
Well, I mean, the areas that the mounds would have to go in would have to be cleared. Now, I don't know if anybody's been out here and looked at those environmental corridors, but I'm gonna tell you the one on the east is primarily brush. There's some big trees in there, but to call that an environmental corridor is kind of surprising because it's literally mostly brush on the one to the east. There are some larger trees that are out there, but I would say that I'd be happy to meet anybody out there and lay that out and show you what we would need to clear. But my main question all the way along here has been knowing that that's primary environmental corridor and that they're going to need your approval to clear those two areas.
Is that the
Right.
county?
No, so the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission designates environmental corridors based on, tree species or steep slopes or wetlands or all these different things. And then what we do with them is up to us, right? So I think the delineation report that was done for the wetlands and the corridors called this a secondary environmental corridor.
Right.
So it's not as expansive as a primary environmental corridor, but it was just redelineated, so there must be a reason why.
Sure.
There must be enough trees in there to make,
Oh, yeah.
still make it a
Right.
environmental corridor. So to call it all brush is maybe a
I'm
little
not saying it's all
disingenuous, but-
brush. I'm saying there's,
So we can approve as the village, we have the right to approve, if you want to allow those mound systems to be in there. We would limit it to the areas that they're showing, right?
Right.
So no more than, so mound B, for instance, could clear no more than 80 by 125 as shown, and then mound A, no more than 85 by 143 as shown would be the limit, so.
and it's very specific how we have to lay those out with the contour lines. So what we would actually do is we would go out there and lay out exactly what we would have to take down. The other thing we did to minimize the tree impact is put them at the edge so that we wouldn't have to take out additional for installation for trucking and things like that.
We even approve houses in environmental corridors too. So this is not a huge ask. I mean, it obviously needs the approval of the board, but we allow residential development to be built in environmental corridors, but we just limit the disturbance area, what can be disturbed and what can't be disturbed.
What do you usually see in an environmental corridor?
As far as?
Well, you said the surprised to see the brush there.
No, I'm just saying that when you think of primary environmental corridor, you think of larger trees. And the one on the east for sure has a high percentage of brush. I'm not saying it's all brush. There's some trees in there for sure. It's a very wooded area. But I think if you were to go there and look at that area to make your decision on whether to approve, I think it would be a pretty easy decision to make.
Do you have any idea how many native trees are in those two areas? that
I do
you're
not.
Proposing?
We could always require, any native good trees to have to be taken out, other trees being planted elsewhere.
To
kinda help
replace, if
us.
you wanted to, let's say you take out 6 trees and then just plant new trees somewhere else
Yeah,
in the
I
corridor,
mean,
right,
if it's a significant amount or,
right. That would be,
Well, the issue actually is with that statement is that where mounds go in, the trees have to be cut flush at grade. You cannot you can't grind stumps, you can't pull them out. You have to cut flush off at grade because the roots in the topsoil are one of the treatment layers in a mound. You're not removing anything at the ground surface. You're building up from the ground surface after you chisel plow the topsoil. So removing a tree or grinding out a stump actually removes one of the treatment layers in the mound. So what we're trying to do is, what I guess in full disclosure, it's the area has to be cut flush at the surface for the mound area. But if you were saying replace trees, not physically remove them,
Right.
but replace them within that makes sense,
Yeah.
for
yeah,
sure.
if you take out an oak tree, you're gonna plant a new oak
Right,
somewhere
exactly.
else.
That works.
So,
And I can't speak on that for you, but that works.
and so we were talking about the east mound. What about in the west? What did you find?
Well, the west area, although it had a lot less of the brush that I was talking about, it also had less trees. It was less dense in that area, to the point where there was a 2-story hunting thing built in there that wasn't touching any trees, and we could literally walk our machine and people through there without pushing through any trees. Unlike the east area, which was very thickly and heavily wooded. But it was way less dense over on the west side. And then our third mound area has no trees at all. But the 2 large mound areas definitely are in wooded areas for sure.
Isn't there 4 mounds?
No, there was proposed 4 mounds.
So this is not a mound?
That one right there, where is that one? Is that right behind the house that was over there? Yeah, that we couldn't even test over there because of the fences
Okay,
and,
so that's not there.
no, that's not. But we have, the area that we have delineated right now is suitable for 32 bedrooms. So more than they're actually gonna have. In the 3 areas. The area to the east is sized for 14 bedrooms. The one on the west is 10. And then the one on the southwest corner is sized for 8. So it comes out to 32 bedrooms that we delineated size for.
I'm sorry, I don't follow that. So there's obviously more than 32 bedrooms in all the units.
It's total of 30, isn't it?
There's 30 units. How many bedrooms in each unit, though? They're all one-bedroom units?
Yes.
There, okay.
I was looking at the size of the closets.
Yeah, I would, they're, you know,
So do we have to worry about a mound system failing in the future and have an alternate site available to put a new one in?
well,
No,
that's.
no, sir.
Yeah.
A mound is considered its own replacement area. When a mound fails, you actually remove the failed layers, put in the new layers, and you have a brand-new mound in the same footprint.
What about the tanks?
As far as,
If it fails, because don't you have to remove those? Can you remove those tanks?
I mean, tanks can be removed, but we use concrete tanks, which typically last, on average, 50 years.
Okay.
And, I mean, there's some brands that have a little bit of concrete corrosion issues. We don't use those brands.
Because I know
Stopped using them.
I know somebody who just had them replaced, and they wouldn't allow them to reuse the tanks or dig them up. So they had to fill them, and he had to relocate the mound and the tanks. So I guess what I was kind of interested in is if it does fail, is there, like you said, is there an alternative in case something happens?
Sure. 90% of the time when there's a system failure, it has nothing to do with the tanks at all. The failure occurs when the waterborne solids plug the soil pores beneath the mound. So the mound, we take off the top 2 or 3 layers, replace those. It's literally a brand new mound in the same footprint. It is extremely rare that a tank would have to be replaced. And the newer codes for tanks are something that we've already been using since 2000, meaning that today, when a person replaces an old system, if their tanks were put in before 2000, yes, the tanks have to be replaced because they don't meet current code. Okay. But anything put in after 2000, it would be very rare for a tank put in after 2000 to have to be replaced.
Okay.
Very rare.
Are there any different considerations for a rental type of use versus a residential use? Reason being, if I know that I'm replacing the mound system, if I put the oil from my cooking down it, that's different than I'm here for a year, 2 years, even if I'm here a long time, 5 years. Is there any type of buffer that you guys use in the industry?
We're working closely with them on paperwork that they're going to be giving each person. The way that the systems will be designed is each building will have its own 2-compartment tank with a filter. So the water has to go through 2 different things. I'll also talk to them about our hair club. Our hair club is where we come out twice a year and analyze the system professionally, manage it, so that we can catch things like that, because we want to know if something's going in that tank that shouldn't be.
So is each mound system designated for particular buildings, and then those people will be essentially responsible for that one?
Each building will have its own septic tank, which will go to you'll have 3 separate pump tanks that pressurize each mound, or 1 per mound, so total of 3 pump tanks that will pressurize the mounds. But yes, you are correct that certain buildings will be going to certain mounds within their proximity, the closer buildings to the closer mounds. But I think, I'm not sure how they do their management of the system as far as pumping them out, but I would assume that either you guys take care of that or the renters take care of their own tanks, but each renter is going to have their own tank at each unit or each building. So actually, you're going to have 2 tenants per tank. Yep.
There are rooms that are labeled as multi, like office/multi. Are those, it would seem if we have this mound system basically designed for just about the same number of present bedrooms, you'd have to kind of prohibit people from using the multi-room as a bedroom. How do you do that? I know that's his question.
That would be back to,
Doors, usually, it's a sport room, it's a multiplex room, it's used strictly for that.
Yeah, and when the county permits the sanitary system, there's gonna be a limit.
Right.
As part of what they're approving.
Could this is back to you. So mound D in the lower left corner, is that southwest?
This one here, yeah.
yeah, that one.
That one's not happening.
No,
That's the one that's not happening.
right, correct.
So mound E is happening?
The other 3 are proposed to be used, yes.
Okay. So, too bad, 'cause I kind of like the fact that mound D looked like it had room to grow in case it had to.
I mean, that is something we can still look at. When we were there to do the soil testing, we couldn't even get into that corner.
One more.
Why?
There was some fence type system in there, like I don't know, was that like a dog? Kennel runs in there, and it was like built out a century fence. So, and there was a lot of that century fence in there. We weren't in our scope. We weren't going to pull out all that century fence on them because I wasn't quite sure what it was for.
That was an old commercial kennel that had 75 dogs. I was there.
Yeah, if that area gets cleared out, I would have absolutely no problem testing that area. Because we intended to, but when we got there, we couldn't.
So what happens if, say, the 1 bedroom doesn't work out and you want to add a second bedroom, it just doesn't make sense.
They can't.
Yeah, I know you can't, but, well, they would have to, you're not supposed to. But would that mound sustain that if that were to happen?
So mounds are actually sized as 1.5 times the proposed use. There's, in the plumbing code, there's estimated wastewater flow and there's design wastewater flow. Our design wastewater flow is 1.5 times what the code says is going to be used. And what the code says is going to be used is actually high. It says 100 gallons per bedroom. We're going to design, we're going to be designing it at 150 gallons per bedroom, which is the design wastewater flow. So it's designed with a peak factor in all septic systems and mound systems.
Okay. And I understand that. I'm just saying, because, are we going to go knock on their doors and, no. So I'm just curious if that were the case, something wouldn't.
Is it her bedrooms?
Yeah.
So, Sean, can you put up the site plan again? Like Mario was mentioning, obviously you abandoned D. That would have eliminated the need to disrupt the environmental corridor to the north. Similarly, that bioretention area, is it topography that maybe kept that little node just to the right of the screen? Yep, right in that area. Just
Yeah.
north of that. Is there a reason that area wasn't looked at
It
as a
didn't pass. It
potential?
was looked at. That was intended to be a mound. right where right where he's taking that arrow right now, the horse paddocks did not pass. I tested it, and I said, we're not putting a mound here. It did not pass. It didn't pass. It had really indications of high groundwater. It's a low area. That's why there's wetland there. There's very little difference between that wetland and immediately to the east of it.
Is there any concern that that's the proposed bioretention swale? Because those show topography as if they're going to have a swale, which would be cut. I don't know, that might be caught on civil type of thing, but if the soils aren't good for one type of infiltration, that might be another one.
Were you guys, did you said you did the soil testing for these bio-infiltration basins too?
Yes, we did.
And that was fine for this?
Yeah. Yeah, there's different, the stormwater and the sanitary are completely separate, what you're looking for and you know, what you're reporting are two completely different things.
Unless this is Milwaukee.
Right.
Everybody good? Open up to the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Actually, looking at my notes, I know when you use the word shared mound system, this really isn't a shared mound system because it's a single owner, is that correct? Because I know that the county has some kind of
Correct.
hesitancy to do that, and then there's also some municipal kind of,
You hit that on the head.
Liability
You
for
hit
it.
that on the head. It's not shared, it's one owner. Correct. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments, questions, come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jana Bashi, and I live at W232 S6820 Millbrook Circle. And we live, how would I describe that? Where Millbrook goes through the back of this property. I didn't see a sign up. We live to the north of that, kind of north.
Overhead just to.
There we go,
I thought you
yes.
live up here.
That left, is that bottom right, dark green? Okay, go down. Okay, there's our house on the bottom, right in that big green spot.
Which green spot?
The big.
Oh, this one here.
Yes,
That's you.
That's our house.
Gotcha. Okay, there you are.
And there is also a pond there. But before I talk about that, I want to clarify, are we talking about 2,000 square foot homes? Did I hear that correctly?
We'll answer your comments after the comments are made. We can just.
Okay. If it's a 2,000 square foot home, and I've heard that correctly, and there's one bedroom, I think that there might be some fudging going on because I've never seen a 2,000 square foot home with one bedroom. And I know that the septic requirements are much lower or require less when there are fewer bedrooms. And so I'm concerned about that. We do have that pond that we have groomed for many, many years. And our family goes fishing there. And a few of our local people near our property who have children go fishing there. And I talked to our attorney just today, and he says that we are liable for anything that might happen in that pond. There's some places where it's as deep as 12 feet. And if somebody comes over, it's very luring for children, people to go fishing or walking around there. And I'm not concerned, I'm very concerned about our liability in that regard. The other thing is every fall and during gun hunting season and bow hunting, We have hunters that hunt in our woods to keep down the deer population. We have a little orchard, and they strip all of our trees. And when a hunter comes to our house, we've got a prior agreement. He's to park right in our driveway. And that way we see when he's there, and we keep the dogs in. I don't know if we've got people coming from the other side, what that might do, because I can't pull hunters out because I don't know who's walking in the woods. So I'm very concerned about that as well. And those are my comments. I just would like to address that. There was a discussion about fencing around this development, but at the same time, it's only a discussion. I would think that that needs to start out as a requirement, despite even putting up no hunting or no trespassing. Our attorney says that we're still liable. That's all I have.
Any other public comments come forward?
My name is Martin Esposito. We live at S69W23080 National Ave, right across the street from DeLuca and Hartman. I just have a comment. This past March, I pulled out of our driveway, going to pick up our granddaughter to bring her to dance. Well, a drunk crossed the road, and I swerved enough to where we just took each other's driver's mirrors off. I turned around and started following them while calling 911. Long story short, New Berlin ended up in that mess. And the New Berlin police told me that Waukesha had nobody to support me, or nobody to respond to that. Big Bend, Waukesha, no response. I know that I think we have two, sheriffs? During the day, we have one. I'm not saying this Cedillo thing is gonna create mischief and troubles and issues, but it can happen. What do we have for a police force if this, whatever you wanna call it, mischief and vandalism, if shit crap like that starts, that's my comment and concern.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any more public comments?
I'm Charlie Preparo. I live at South 70 West 230-90 National Avenue. Can you bring up the overhead map, please?
The site plan or this?
Let's start with that one.
I'm sorry, what was your first name, sir?
Charles
Charles.
Preparo.
You're good.
I just gotta get closer. I didn't bring my distance glasses. So anyway, the Cedillo property, the west part of his land butts up against mine.
Is this,
That's me right there.
okay,
My house
that's
is
you.
in the center of that 14 acres.
Got it.
You can see where his comes across,
Mm-hmm.
then it goes up,
Right.
and then my property line is on an angle, and then that's where Dennis and Jenna's land is. First comment is the fence. Last time we were here, he said he was gonna put
Do
a
you want to
fence
go
up
to the mic?
along there.
Do you want to go to the microphone?
He said he would put a fence up along that west side, because I do have a trail system on my land for the last 32 years. And you got 30 rental units there, and you're gonna have kids, and we're all kids at one time. You see woods, you're gonna go goof around, right? So, and he had mentioned he would put a fence all the way along there to the property line. Now, I don't know how you're gonna get a fence through that natural wetland going to the property line and for the Bashi property, okay? So that's one real issue I have is without a fence, and you got 30 units back there, rentals, you're gonna have mischief. I have dogs, we shoot guns, we shoot bow and arrow, and deer hunting there for 32 years, okay? The second thing is, all of this runoff water, is there one major retention pond, or is that something I gotta go to Waukesha County to find out? Anybody?
We'll answer the questions after public comments.
Okay. floodplains, from my experience in excavating and grading, there's always a setback from any floodplain, wetland designation. I believe it's more than 15 feet from a house to a wetland area. The last time I checked, and I haven't checked lately, with the DNR's wetland criteria, it was 35 to 75 feet for wetland setbacks. Now, these are all renters, all rentals, that's correct. The properties up in front are renting, and the houses are all rentals. Are these, is there any government funding in this? Are these low-income properties, or what is the rent per month? That's another question. And my biggest gripe with dropping 30 renters in there is, you know, everybody out here with all the land we all owned, we've always bought our own homes. Now you're gonna drop this on this little postage stamp, tuck it in between all of these different wetlands, right? 2,000 square foot house with 1 bedroom. How does a family live in that? You know, it's a little sketchy. And like I said, the rental price, and those are my main concerns, especially that runoff water. The fellow that does the septic design on my property, and I've gone through this with Cal, the assessor over the years, when my assessments go up. On my 14 acres here, this is all highland. It goes down to Dennis's Pond, and this is a good 50, 60, 70 feet up, mature pine trees, but it's the environmental corridor, okay? You can't monkey around there. It says right on here, no mound systems from this line going down. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off, but that's another concern. So, those are my concerns. I think they're all fair. The fence is the huge one. I wanna see how he gets this fence around this to keep, you know, renters from walking through all of these nice woods that Dennis and I have put a lot of time and resources in with trail systems and maintaining them for our families. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
Could I just add to mine? I apologize. I just want to add that New Berlin Police did not have to respond. I found out too from them. Just want to comment that they didn't need to respond. Didn't have to, I should say, but they did.
I'm Dennis Bashi. You saw my beautiful wife. Do I have to say my address again?
Yeah.
West 232, South 6820, Millbrook Circle. I think the project is much better than it was when they came in 2 years ago. The concerns I have being adjacent to this is I really have a hard time with 1-bedroom, 2,000 square foot 1-bedroom units with families, how they're, I consider a family like a husband and wife and a couple of kids. I don't know how a family, a husband and wife and 2 kids are gonna live in 1 bedroom. I just don't think that's gonna happen. So you're gonna have probably four people in a unit instead of 2. So that increases the mound system. And I really don't like the mounds being on the, what are we calling it?
Corridor.
The corridor. I'd like them up further, so they're off the corridor. So we wouldn't have to look at them. And then the fencing is a big thing, because if they do have, I don't know how you can have kids in 1 bedroom, but if they do, the kids are gonna, the kids are gonna run around chucking in my property without fencing. So that would be something that I would, and they could put a nice board on, a nice 6-foot board on board fence. It would be very attractive, would fit right in with the natural, greenery that's there. And that would keep the kids in the area they should be. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
My name is John Miller. I live at South 69 West 22930. I'm adjacent to this proposed property on two sides. We just moved out here 2 years ago. Part of the reason we decided to move out here is because of the character and just the habitat of the area. We absolutely fell in love with it. Part of it for me was kind of more on a tradition. We've all grown up with certain traditions. Me, I was a big hunting family. This gave me an opportunity to do that there, especially with my son. One of the things that I have a huge concern about is if this goes in, that's gone. I can no longer do that. I have many, many memories growing up with my father of squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, even deer hunting. And being able to do that with my son now is absolutely a blessing, and I want to keep being able to do that. My parents since passed away, and I lost a lot of that, and I want to be able to do that with my son. But if this goes in, I lose that function. That's one concern for me. The other one was Mr. Sedell said that multiple times that he's trying to preserve the nature of that area. Well, he's cutting down all this habitat for the animals that are already out there. He's already done a lot of cutting before all of this. I don't feel like it's moving in the character that this area was in and that we fell in love with. And I don't want you guys to, it's hard for me to say. To think of more of this than a financial gain. I understand there's businesses involved and there's money to be made on the properties that are going in there. But it's a huge community impact, what this is doing. And that's kind of all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
Want me to state my name again?
Nope, I got it.
Got it? Okay. A development like this sets a precedent moving forward, as far as squeezing wetlands, squeezing them, saying they are, they aren't. And it would be a shame if that were to happen out here in the town of Vernon. That always prided itself on the serenity and the peacefulness. And it just doesn't make sense to drop 30 houses and 3 commercial buildings on that little postage stamp. So I don't want to repeat myself, but I just don't think it sets a good precedent moving forward. Even once we're gone, for other generations, that this is what you can do, but it just doesn't seem ethical. So thanks.
Anybody else?
Lynn Guns, South 84 West 24540 Pheasant Hill Road. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but after hearing the comments and looking at the building plans, I agree with the comments about the number of bedrooms and the math with the waste systems. When you look at especially the 2-story, you can see an office with a cutout for a closet, no doors on the plans, but a full bathroom attached to that. And so I would be asking questions about how many people would be allowed in those facilities, and I agree a 2,000 square foot residential area or residence with only 1 bedroom seems kind of odd, so I would really want the inquiry into the waste treatment to be a little more sound. The math doesn't make any sense to me right now, that's all.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Sean, you want to address the
Yeah,
questions that
it's-
were brought up?
Sure. So some were comments, obviously, and you heard those, but I'll go through the questions that I wrote down. And this was obviously, brought up time and time again, was the bedroom. And to be honest, I was surprised because when I didn't look at the floor plans carefully, I saw that there were, single-story units and two-story units, and 2,000 square feet, I figured, these were 2+ bedroom units, and I didn't see that didn't say an extra bedroom. So I was surprised by it. So I guess the question remains, we can ask the developer when we get through these, but, are these really 1-bedroom units? Because it is odd to have a 2,000 square foot house that's only 1 bedroom. I don't know if I've ever seen one. The fencing has come up again and again. So is there going to be fencing or is there not going to be fencing? That should be a definitive answer we should get for that one. Question about police force. Is there going to be enough police force to, provide the services needed for this? I can't answer that question. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on that or not. Question about the stormwater pond. Yes, there is, there's 2 bio-infiltration basins here for stormwater for the commercial residents, or for the commercial units, they're there, and the residential, there is, the water will be directed, as far as I know, what we've been told so far. Again, this is a Waukesha County review, but the water goes to the street, and then it ends up here at the infiltration basin.
Here.
So. Oh, sorry, what, was it not up there? Okay, so here's the infiltration basin here for the residences, and then each of the commercial units has the infiltration basins to the north of those as well. So it's been accounted for. Again, that's something the county is going to review. It's going to meet DNR standards. It's going to meet county standards. They're not going to approve something that doesn't take care of the stormwater. They do a pretty good job of that, don't they, Karen?
Well, they do. I have to tell you, the county does a really, really better than, I think, what's happening, a lot better than Big Bend, but in Mukwonago, you'd be
That they
really
handle their
happy.
own. Yeah, exactly.
They do a
So-
really good job.
There was a question about wetland setbacks and what's required for the DNR, and so the DNR does have certain setback requirements for wetlands. They don't apply in all cases, and so the villages can set their own. Big Bend's wetland setback is 0. And we have a 15-foot setback, but there's caveats in the ordinance that basically say, the village engineer and I and the Plan Commission Board can increase that depending on what the wetlands are. These are very low quality, tiny wetlands that don't necessarily need a setback from them. But we still have 15 feet, and we're going to ensure that the gutters and so on don't drain to those
Main
wetlands. So.
wetland is to the north.
Yeah, but that one is pretty far away from all the houses. so.
Where is this main?
So public so we'll get back to public comment again. I'm just gonna go through the questions and answers. There's a question about government funding, and whether these will be subsidized by the government in some way, what the rent per month is. When the developer comes up, we can get that question. I think the rest were comments, but those were the limit of the questions.
Let's have Mr. Sedillo come up and address a few of these concerns.
You want to start with the bedroom issue?
Yeah, the bedrooms or the units are set to be 1 bedrooms, which primarily cater to empty nesters, and they cater to the younger, just married, or young couples that are starting out and don't have any children at that point. So they cater to that, but there's a factor built in for home office, home study areas, sport room, that they're able to have those kind of features with the square footage that's there, plus nice sized bedrooms.
So there won't be any children that live here whatsoever?
Well, there could be if there's just a single parent and they have a child.
Okay, but
You know,
so
like
that will be unique. So, I mean, we can expect maybe 1 or 2 kids in this entire development?
Well, it's what if they're a single parent.
Right, so there might be 1 or 2 of those that are in there with a kid that stays in their bedroom. I just find it hard to believe, and again, I've been taken aback by this. Someone would rent a 2,000 square foot home with one bedroom,
Yeah,
and they're a single parent with a kid, and they're gonna share a bedroom, but they have a 2,000 square foot home.
Yeah, and like for empty nesters, when they don't have any children anymore, that's the type of home. that
Sure,
they-
the empty nester, I get, young professionals without families, I totally get that, but I just,
How
it's
does
hard to
that
believe.
size compare to your other development?
They're in that same range. They're a little bit smaller, but we've after COVID, with how many people work at home and how many people want to have when you don't have a basement, you add some extra rooms, and we build very big closets, so which a lot of people appreciate. So that's where that gets soaked up in.
What's the occupancy limit of the units?
What's that?
What's the occupancy limit?
Per
the unit?
per unit?
Yeah.
2.
John, didn't we have quoted 15,000 square feet per property, per lot?
So the density is for each unit, so each residential unit requires 15,000 square feet of lot area.
1,000 square feet would be for the
building.
No, so, I'm talking about density, so if they have 30 units here, right, 30 residential units, 30 times 15 is the minimum lot area that they need, that's what it means.
But the overall square footage of each building is gonna be like 4,000 square feet of living space,
Yeah.
divided in half. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
With the two-
occupancy is 2, there's 1 bedroom, and so,
Yeah.
the septic systems are designed as such as well, I mean, I don't know what else to do, but.
Yeah, I mean, some people will have a hide-a-bed in one of the rooms if they have a guest for a weekend, or they have a child that's visiting that's split between 2 parents.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the next thing, would you commit to a fence around the perimeter?
Yeah, we could definitely work through all of that. The properties to the north, it's not really a walkable area. It's heavy marsh and a lot of water.
Right,
the
this is,
brook running through it.
the whole brook runs through there, there's the pond, the whole thing is a wetland, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is the Plan Commission's thoughts on where the fence is needed? Obviously, on the east side, there's a commercial property, that's, I think most of the residents are concerned about kids, of which there won't be any here, wandering onto the properties to the west, so certainly on the west property line, up until you get to the wetland might be appropriate, but again, if there are kids, they're gonna explore where they're gonna explore, and so the wetland's not gonna stop them necessarily.
I would think that a wetland is not gonna stop them. I would think that it would have to be the perimeter with the exception along, National Avenue.
Yeah, it's pretty wet there.
What about north of the wetland? Your
North of
property
wet-
line goes all the way up here past the wetland.
Yeah, that's extremely heavy vegetation, that grass, it's not really walkable. But if a fence is something that's wanted, we can put it up there as long as we legally can put it there.
It's not wetland, so the wetland is here. We're talking about north of the wetland. Or just north of the wetland here, and then blocking this off.
Yeah.
The mound system is in the corridor, not the wetland. Yeah, in the corridor, just north of the wetland maybe, just to, if this is, you can't get to this and it's too tough to put a fence, then the fence here would work.
My problem with the fence is, no matter what you put up, a kid's gonna get through it. I
Sure.
think if you got something simple, 2-rail split fence where you're saying, hey, this is the property line, you left the property knowing.
Yeah, and we
you were
can put up no
trespassing.
trespassing, hunting.
It's kind of like you're just distinguishing where your property ends, where the next one begins. I don't know how a neighbor can be held liable for somebody trespassing at that point.
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
mean,
just like isn't it kind of like a pool then? I mean, we have to have a fence around our pools.
When I had fence in mind, I had like a 6-foot wood fence in mind. That's and not like a 4-foot chain link fence or something like that. Do you want me to repeat myself? When I had a fence in mind, I was thinking like a 6-foot wood fence, not like a 4-foot chain link fence. Something that a kid would easily just bounce right over. I may not bounce over a 4-foot fence these days, but I used to be able to.
No, that's why I was just thinking more just something that distinguishes your property line where you can't say, oh, I didn't know I was on the neighbor's property.
Yeah, and there's nothing to say the neighborhood to the north doesn't have children walking to us. It's not, it's reciprocal that way.
That was going to be kind of my question as well. It sounds like there's a lot of outdoor activity, which is great on those properties, and maybe even people that are hunting on somebody else's land. So maybe a fence would serve the Cedello property to keep them off of their property for similar liability type of reasons.
Right, but again, what's stopping the kids that live in this neighborhood from coming on this property right now?
And I'm talking more so from the south, closer to where the development is. If somebody's hunted there for 30 years and all of a sudden, where...
Right, but I'm saying the village didn't make this subdivision put a fence up. Why not?
I think the natural boundaries of the wetlands, like they were mentioning, are the natural barrier. If somebody wants to, they're going to...
These kids can get into the woods. Right, these kids can get into the woods the same as these kids can get into the woods. So I don't understand the argument of fencing this property versus fencing this property.
Mr. Cedello, do you have a plan in, say, renting or selling that's going to won't create turnover in residency?
Quality homes, quality management. We find that.
Tangibles, I'm talking something more tangible. But you're going to, like, for example, you advertise to a certain skewed residency here.
We advertise 1-bedroom units with the amenities that we're going to be offering with a large square footage floor plan.
Yeah, 1 year,
probably
1 year
gotta be
lease.
careful.
1 year lease minimum, yeah, and 1 year renewals. Yeah,
So what other rents did you? What's the target?
probably between 1,800 and 2,200.
Okay, and then got it.
Sean, to answer your question, at least from my point of view, I wasn't on the planning commission when that other subdivision was built, but I did have a question that kind of came up thinking of fences. Do they have to put something around the retention pond as well? No, that's not required. Okay.
There's a safety shelf whenever you build it.
There's a shelf so you can't tumble into the deep end. You basically
It's designed for an adult male average of 6 feet. If they fall into it drunken on their knees and then fall forward, they might not drown. And that's what the county told me when we were designing ours. That's the only reason I know.
Nice.
Kind of funny.
And if the fence question is answered, I think the biggest outstanding thing is the number of people. You can say bedrooms, but you've got a den and an office flex room that have a bathroom in between them, representative of a classic Jack and Jill, bedroom setup. I mean, I appreciate that the properties in which you're going for will skew to a different population. This is not going to skew to, 1 or 2 parents with 4 kids. There's no basement. But I think we'd be fooling ourselves to say that nobody is going to put kids in one of those rooms. And to me, the only question is, should we require you know, some additional margin. I appreciate the design margin, but you always have in any engineering calculation, design margin. So right now, your margin just based on bedrooms is pretty small, you know. Even, and I don't know how much room you would have without being able to use that mound D in the southwest corner to go from, say, I know you're designed now for like 30 or 31 or 32, to take that to like a 40, then you'd have 1/3 additional margin. I would feel more comfortable, not that I know anything about mound systems and civil engineering in general. That's my wife's department. But the layout is pretty attractive if somebody wanted to cheat that way from what they're supposed to be doing. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they're obligated during lease sign up to indicate who's going to be living there. They have to put on who the primary lease occupant's going to be and any other residents that'll be living with them.
You know, it's up to him also to keep track where all of a sudden if he's got families living in these, that mound system's gonna fail much quicker.
Yeah.
And it'd be a big expense to him. You know, so he's gotta kinda be on top of it, regulating who's living there, how many people. So it's just, you know.
Yeah, I'm also having a hard time wrapping my head around the layout. So, I don't know.
It's nice if you can afford it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, and having the second bathroom is usually with a couple, a lot of times, they each like having their own bathroom, or if they have guests, they can still have a private bathroom, but then if they have a guest over for entertaining,
Yep.
they have a hallway, main floor bathroom.
Mine's in the basement, you know. What else?
So what did we decide on the fence?
I think he said yes on the fence.
Yeah,
Right,
we
the
can
entire
incorporate-
perimeter would be a fence. What kind of fence?
Wood cedar fence,
Six-
it sounded
six-
like,
6
is
foot?
what the comments.
6 foot?
I mean, that's
know.
more
Yeah.
than what you'd have on a pool. I
Yeah,
think
I think that's,
pool only
I think it's
requires like
overkill.
4.
4 foot might be adequate.
I have 5.
What's
I
the
mean-
consensus?
We will incorporate it into the lease, letting them know there's private property, where the fence is, it'll be posted.
Posting on the fence as well?
Yeah.
So what are we saying for size? I just want to have it in the conditions.
Size of the fence?
Yeah, the construction and and height of the fence.
I mean, I'm gonna say 6, but
I would just say a 3-rail split fence, you know, because you just need to separate, this is the boundary line. You're not trying to keep people in and out there, you know, if they want to get over the fence or walk around the fence.
Or even
and
for
so-
wildlife to be able to pass through.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta say, hey, you're off property, or this is where the property line starts, ends.
Yeah.
I'm not looking them,
It's
having
in,
fenced-in community, you know, where
it's in such heavy brush in most areas, and the brush and wooded areas will continue to grow. So it's gonna get intertwined with all of that over time, but I think if it's posted and we alert a special clause that they have to initial right in the lease that says, do not go past these areas, with a highlighted little map kind of showing them, but where we would have walking trails, or if we would have the street itself, I think the residents will use and walk, but with today with ticks and everything, a lot of average people don't like walking a lot in the woods, you know, maybe more so in winter, but tell them that's off limits, and they'll sign it, initial it, and we'll post it. If there's issues in the future, we have to address those. And we put a stop to it.
My comment would be that we treat the different areas of the property differently. If you pull up the site plan, Sean, I think I'm looking at the overall landscape plan, or you can pull up anyone. So if you look at the corner where the cul-de-sac to the left with your cursor right down there, so that's the corner of the property. So that's within 15 feet of pavement. I think that area should be treated differently than the north side where it's, the neighbor parcel is across 50 feet of wetland and then a marsh and then everything else. So I think talking something like a 6-foot fence stockaded around the whole thing is foolish, but I also think something not substantial in an area where you're going to have foot traffic walking just around the side of the house, we could treat those areas differently. So I would say something more like the 6-foot board-on-board fencing for that eastern or western property line up until that retention pond, and then you can go with a split rail around the remainder, and nothing on the east side because that's a commercial property to begin with. So that's my 2 cents.
So a 6-foot fence on the west property line up until the wetland, and then beyond that, a split rail fence with postings would be fine. Does that make sense?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, the other. Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay,
You want to open up to any more public comments? Please come forward.
Mrs. Basha, you don't have to restate your name.
Do you think you can bring up the map that pops up our property? Okay, so there was a question as to why people in that northern subdivision they do not walk in our woods. They have 1-acre parcels, I believe they're 1 acre. And to do that, you've got to walk through someone's front yard, through their backyard. They do not come into the woods. However, down with this proposed development, there is a perfect little corridor that they can get access to. And when you're in a more densely populated, like a rental community, no one person owns anything. Anybody can walk anywhere outside their property, right? It's a little bit, if you don't own it, then anybody can walk there. And there is just this little area that you can go onto Chuck's property, and you're at the pond. And it's all groomed around the pond. We mow it, and they can go anywhere around there, and then there's trails that go off there, around the pond, up into our woods, all the way around. We have acres and just tons of trails that we put in during COVID. And the same thing with Chuck Reparo's land. As for the environmentally sensitive corridor, I know when we moved into our property in 91, 35, 36, 7 years ago, it was agricultural. And we were getting all these agricultural magazines, and all of a sudden it stopped. And then one day, some years later, we were here at a meeting, and we noticed that our property is completely rezoned. In fact, the floodplain goes right through our house, even though we're at the top of the hill. And so the things that we can do, access, use on our property, our original plan was to give each of our kids an acre of land, but that was no longer a possibility. So when I look at this proposal, putting in 2 mound systems that are in this environmentally sensitive corridor, I'm like, how can they do that? Why is that okay? And as for traveling from that north neighborhood to the proposed, it's all marsh, it's all swamp. You can't walk through there. That's why people will go through the pond around it and up through the woods on our property. So I'm just concerned about these mound systems that are being put into these environmentally sensitive corridors. And then I'm bathrooms are in the units? How many half bathrooms? How many full bathrooms? I want to know how many showers they have. And then on top of that, does a tenant get terminated if there are more than two in that taking occupancy? Are they actually going to have their lease terminated? And we definitely were very in favor of the fence, just for safety measures, for hunting, fishing, and accidents. Again, I did talk to my attorney this morning. Just like if you have a backyard pool, you've got no trespassing signs or whatever, you have to have a fence, because you are liable if somebody gets in there and falls in and drowns. Same thing with the pond. You have to have, it won't deter everything, but it makes a big deterrent by having a 6-foot chain link fence.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
No, just a question on a well. Wells, water usage, what does it affect our water table in Big Bend? Yeah, that's my question. So wells.
Any other questions?
Can you pull a map up of the proposed again? My question is, call it the southwest corner on there, that one furthest left cul-de-sac. How close are those houses to that property line? What's the setback on it?
I can measure for you here. But I'll tell you that the zoning district allows 7.5 feet of separation, so.
There could be a house 7.5 feet from the back of my property.
In the zoning district, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Me again. The whole like stormwater plan, that's Waukesha County's kind of, who do we talk to there? And if I wanted to go and see this plan that they're coming up with? Marissa.
Well, yeah, Marissa would do all that. You call 896-8300, Mr. Papiro. Call 262-896-8300.
Or just go to the county's website, they
Yeah.
have information.
And Marissa, Leif, what else is it
I
on?
think Leif retired.
Did he?
I think he did, yeah.
Her name is
Marissa
Marissa.
Castello.
Costello.
Marissa Costello.
Mhm.
She was out on all the soil tests.
Oh, was she?
She was with me on all the soil tests.
So she's gonna know Mr. Papiro.
Any more questions? Anybody else?
Plan Commissioner?
Plan Commission, Village Board? Jay?
Turn your mic on.
My question is for you as a landlord, like you do have control that only the people that have the names listed on the lease are to be living at that house. I'm talking like maybe 2 people having their name on the lease, and then you find out, 5 people total are living in a unit, and 3 of them don't have their names on the lease.
We do have that right, we do monitor that, and we do enforce it at all of our properties, and it does happen. There's people that have their story why Cousin Eddie had to move in, and if they're not on the lease, we serve them an infraction notice to immediately correct the default, and if they don't correct it, then they'll get a 5-day notice.
And if the neighboring properties, neighboring property owners to your property are having problems with, like, let's say, kids going over and going onto their property, and if they bring it to your attention, you would go over there and have a talk with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're not trying to cooperate, and we definitely enforce that.
And-
We'll put an addendum in the lease that shows them our boundary lot lines, that shows that they cannot do that. And I think with no trespassing signs located on the fence, that would be what it would take to stop that.
Okay, and another thing is you do keep your properties up. I'm talking like grass properly cut and trimmed on time.
Like this property, we will be doing it as the management company doing it. We're not gonna require the individual tenants to do it. In some opportunities, there is that, but this is such a vast amount of grass, and we want the property looking uniform at all times, and you wouldn't get that if you had individual people, residents doing it, so this will be fully maintained, snow-wise and lot-wise.
And then another thing is no like allowing the tenants to store like, let's say, car parts or anything flat out into the open or up alongside the buildings.
And that's why we have the two-car garages, because that is usually what you need to stop that from happening. There's no automotive work in the garages or in the driveway.
What's your management look like? Is it on site or is it what?
Do we want to just have him come up to the microphone again? If we're gonna have back and forth, we should do it at the microphone.
He's got
It's off, actually.
Everything, we have an in-house team. I've done this since 1984. We have a Hales Corners office and a New Berlin office that will be overseeing this. We might put a property management facility office in one of the commercial spaces up front where we'd maintain some of the equipment that would be maintaining the property. If there was any service work that needed to be done, we'd be on property.
Two questions. One, this is a private roadway, so obviously that maintenance would be fully by you, whether it be snow plowing or repairs. Is there anything that we have as far as Vernon to that effect? To say the level of upkeep of what it has to be? Or I know and then in the past we also talked about waste removal. That's on you guys to privately contract versus, is that a provided service?
Yeah, we have, we work with John's Disposal, and they have what's called that up the driveway service for their residential, where they'll keep a recycling and a garbage tote inside their garage. They put it out on garbage day and put it away. And the commercial tenants, normally they'll get a smaller, either the same totes or they'll get a smaller container, but they're on wheels. On garbage pickup day, they have to wheel it out. It gets picked up and then they bring it back in.
And that's fully on you guys as the management company. That's not on Vernon, obviously, right?
Correct, yeah.
And then the other question is, I might have missed it. Did Alex comment on the development at all? Chief Alex Feldy, as far as fire department? I know that cul-de-sacs and stuff would be designed to the standards needed, but is that something?
No, we can get his comment before, as part of.
I think that would be smart to just put the condition to.
I talked to Alex, he had no issues with the cul-de-sac or anything. In fact, we're gonna work out a deal with him to maybe burn the buildings down there on site. For training.
That's all I had.
Plan Commission, Village Board, any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question, like if noise, like let's say if a tenant did have a party that was really loud and you got complaints from the people that live surrounding the property, and then if complaints about noise come in from your internal people that are leasing from you, if there's problems with noise, you would address the problem.
Absolutely. It obviously to work with the neighboring homeowners, but even in the development, it's gonna be toxic to any of our other occupants. So we address that on our own before, because the loud music will likely get called into us before even the neighbors could get to us, because the adjoining neighbor or a neighboring house would call us immediately.
That's what I'm mostly looking
So, yeah, it's,
I have a question for Sean. Would the two-person occupancy be something controlled at the site plan of operation level, or is that only controlled at the lease level?
No, we could write it into the site plan of operation too. That's no problem.
All right, any more questions? Plan Commission, Village Board? Last chance to the public. Any more comments, questions? One more chance? Any more? All right.
One more question. Are animals gonna be allowed? Dogs?
That's up to them if they allow
Okay,
pets.
so that's not, yeah, okay, got it.
Any more questions? Any more
I have one
questions?
question for Sean. Sean, just one of the issues that surfaced today, those things are still addressable even if we approve the change in the residency, or from,
Which things are addressable?
well, in other words, a lot of the points in here that they're discussing fencing and so on and so forth. If those issues, those are down the road, even if we approve the change in,
Well, we're doing three things on the agenda tonight. One's the rezone,
right.
two is the certified survey map, and three is the site plan of operation, which is all that stuff ties into the site plan of operation. So if you choose to approve it tonight, if you don't, you don't. But if you do, then we should get the conditions in there that requires that tonight.
And at that point, would that be appropriate time to talk about something that we haven't really talked about at all? Is that commercial, something like the facade? I think the
Yeah,
big thing
yeah,
to get over is the residential first, and then we
Totally.
cross that bridge
Yeah,
at
I
that
mean,
point.
I brought it up as one, because we're gonna talk about the whole development, but yeah, this is just, we haven't even gotten to this is a public hearing just to rezone the property. We got into the weeds in every single detail as part of the rezoning, but, which is good, because it'll save us time on the other ones potentially, but, yeah, we have to make sure that we add those conditions in as part of the approval.
So it's rezoning,
Certified survey map to do the lots, and then site plan of operation for all the details.
All right, any more questions? Anybody else? Last chance. All right, hearing no more questions, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Moving on to discussion of possible action of the village board and plan commission to consider the request for Ken Sadello to amend the village of Vernon zoning map from RRD-5 rural residential density district 5 acre to the B3 general business district with a 3.17 acres along National Avenue in association with proposed land division reconfiguration and the remainder of the property to the R4 multifamily residential district. Properties are located at South 68 West 22850 and South 68 West 22870 National Avenue, Vernon, Wisconsin. Tax keys VNT 2019990 and 2019989. The existing zoning overlay districts will remain. Plan Commission, is there a recommendation to the village board?
I'd make the recommendation to approve it. I think everything we've worked out is going to end up in a later document. Fencing and people count stuff. So I make recommendation for approving.
As stated by the village president?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Planning Commission, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, Village Board to review and consider the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance to rezone the property in section 1, T5N R19E in the Village of Vernon and to amend the zoning map of the Village of Vernon pursuant to section 300-46 of the Village of Vernon zoning ordinance. Village Board, is there a motion to approve that ordinance?
I'll make that motion, mostly because at this point, we're not setting any conditions, and I don't think any of us are arguing whether the actual zoning is the issue, and that I think the disagreements fall under the conditions themselves, so.
Is this all part of your motion?
No, I'm just making comments about it. That'd be a very long motion.
So your motion, just to clarify, is adoption of ordinance number 2026-5 as stated on the agenda?
Yeah, with any of Sean's conditions, as stated in his report.
My only conditions are what, it's basically just to rezone.
We just always say that, so.
Yeah, that's.
Is there a second? I'll make the second. Any more discussion? Village board, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to discussion and possible action of the village board and plan commission to consider the request for Cancedello for a 3-lot certified survey map for the properties located at South 68 West 22850 and South 68 West 22870 National Avenue in Vernon, Wisconsin, tax T VNT 2019990 and 2019989.
So the certified survey map is on the overhead. Again, it's the 3 lots. It's the 2 commercial lots up front. It's the residential lot in the back. Lot 1 has the private road on it, which attaches to, or accesses National Avenue, and then lots 2 and 3 would access that private road internally. So this is a little unusual because, all the lots, we require in the land division ordinance that every lot's got at least 66 feet of frontage, which these all do, which is fine. But lot 1 is technically a flag lot because it does narrow down substantially at the right of way. It does still meet the minimum average lot width requirements because the lot width is average from front to back, but it still does need a waiver from the Plan Commission and Board for the flag lot. The alternative was to bring lots 2 and 3 all the way across and then landlock the residential parcel and back, but I think that's a worse precedent than just allowing the waiver for the flag lot. Some of the considerations that you have to look at with the flag lot is essentially whether or not this impacts the surrounding development pattern in a way that would be negative, and I would argue that you're not getting access to the back of this parcel any other way, so there's no other way to get it access. So the Plan Commission Board did want to see commercial up front, so this is one way to achieve it. I don't think it's an unreasonable layout given what they're trying to achieve. Our surveyor had a few comments, technical comments that would be addressed as part of it. The other thing that I noted was the CSM notes the private roadway easement by separate document. So I guess I question whether the easement was needed across the entire private road or just the portion that is adjacent to lots 2 and 3, because that private roadway easement essentially gives them access to get there. So I think it just makes sense to have it adjacent to the 2 lots, not across, because you don't want the commercial traffic driving back here. So it would be limited, so the CSM should be updated to limit to the easement just to that portion that's adjacent to lots 2 and 3. So
Part of the driveway going straight across from.
had to go across from Enterprise Drive, right?
And that's the way it is right now, right? Or on this
Yeah, it
proposal.
had to be right there, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't move it over to.
That's right. So that's another consideration. So, yeah, in my conditions, I basically say, the easement should really just extend lots 2 and 3, and that would make sense. So that would be something that's recorded along with the CSM, right? Is there any reason you just didn't have the notes on the CSM for the easement? It doesn't matter, however you do it, so. So nothing else from me on the CSM.
What about the question of the retention basin, that lot 2 adjustment?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So, we could approve the CSM if you wanted to, with adjusting the size of lot 2 to incorporate the infiltration basin, provided that there's enough land area in lot one to accommodate the density, the 1 unit per 15,000 square feet. So there would be conditions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, unless that can be reconfigured to fit on there, sometimes you can do it. We may have to put like a retaining wall in or something, so it's not a gradual thing, but it's still infill.
But the point is, yeah, the point is we could approve it like this, knowing that it may adjust, the size may adjust slightly based on that retention basin.
Yeah, I guess the point being we want to approve something that allows for the wiggle room to make it. Ultimately, what we want to see is that retention not be straddling the line. So
Right.
whether it has to move or it has to be redesigned, just allow that flexibility.
Right. So that would be an additional condition to the ones that are already in here. Essentially, it would be, the conditions are prior to signature and recording, satisfy all of our conditions. The village board would grant a waiver for lot one as a flag lot, and find the development pattern does not impact the orderly and reasonable development of the adjacent parcels. That the access and maintenance agreement on lot one would be for the benefit of lots 2 and 3, and it would just extend the length of lots 2 and 3, and then obviously the payment of professional fees.
So, planning commission, is there a motion to accept the three-lot certified survey map for the property with the conditions that were stated by?
We make a recommendation.
Our recommendation to the village board.
All the conditions stated by the plan?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
2 seconds?
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed unanimously. Village board, is there a motion to concur with planning commission on the certified survey map? I can't say certified.
As the conditions stated by the plan.
I guess I'll make that motion.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes unanimously. All right, discussion and possible action of the village board and planning commission. Consider the request for Ken Sadello for the site plan of operation for a business campus including 3 12,000 square foot buildings and 30 residential units and 15 two-family buildings for the property located at South 68 West 22850 and South 68 West 22870 National Avenue in Vernon, Wisconsin, tax keys VNT 2019990 and 2019989. All right, we've gone through.
Yeah, and so we've exhausted the discussion. In my staff report, there's the conditions that basically, basically solidify what's been talked about for lot one for the residential, lot 2 and 3 for the business campus. Obviously requiring approval from the county for a number of things. The things that we discussed previously is the fence, right? So we talked about a 6-foot fence along the western property line all the way up to the large wetland along the brook in the back with no trespassing signs. The rest of the way, we talked about a split rail fence or similar for the remainder, deep back in the property, also with postings for no trespassing. We talked about additional landscaping between the commercial and the residential portion of the property north of the infiltration basins. Talked about architectural improvements for the commercial buildings to vary the planes of the buildings and the roof and potentially additional materials. And we talked about ensuring a 2-person occupancy limit for the residences. So those are the additional conditions that I heard. Would you be in favor of allowing the additional landscaping architecture for me to review them, or do you want that to come back to the Plan Commission and board?
I mean, I'm fine with you reviewing those.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's everything. Then if you choose to approve it, it would be the conditions that are listed here, plus the ones I just mentioned.
So, planning commission, is there a recommendation to the village board?
Quick question, sorry. We kind of discussed, knowing that the floor plans are what they are, saying, yeah, it'd be kind of easy for somebody to kind of have that live in, you know, it's going to be hard for them to police that there aren't 3 people living in these, right? Mario mentioned standard is, and Mr. I can't remember his name from her, said that they designed to a 1.5. Do we have any ability to say that it has to be designed beyond a certain standard of plumbing code to say, hey, you call it a den, it looks a lot like a bedroom to us. Is there any?
I don't know, because the county handles the permitting of sanitary systems.
Yeah, and so I guess my point is, well, if we can't handle since the architectural plans say that it's a den, can we impact the size of the unit, or do something to say, hey, no, you either have to call this a bedroom or you have to adjust what you're offering?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, the plans to me were surprising, when we talked to them tonight, but, technically they're meeting the requirements of what they say. The county's going to issue permits based on the bedrooms that they say. They're saying 2 occupancy. We're saying two-person occupancy. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I just didn't know what type of leeway we had to be able to say what.
Again, it's not our codes, right? So that's not our codes to deal with.
Wouldn't that come under the owner's program, as far as his requirements in the contract that you can't?
Yeah, that's going to be in his leases.
From a den to a bedroom.
Right, his leases are going to say 2-person occupancy, not to be used as a bedroom. Again, we'll never know if it's used otherwise, but I don't know what else we can. I don't know what else yeah, there's a party. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that issue.
I thought through that myself after the conversation, and either you attempt to put in all the control you can, or essentially what you're saying is we estimate how much they're going to cheat the residents. And I don't feel in any position to intelligently estimate how much they're going to cheat. So I think we attempt to put in all the control possible, which if we put it in, as he has it, in the plan of operation, and it's going to be in the lease.
Should be, yeah. Right.
Said it would be recorded. Then you go with the controls, but it keeps us, essentially, it's like a lot of other things that are in a plan of operation for businesses or such. That's our controlling element. And the other aspect is it's in their business benefit, best interest of their business to police that because of the impact to the mound systems. And though it can be abused, and it probably somewhere will be abused, it has to get controlled at some point. So that's my perspective on.
I think just under ownership control to officiate that, police it, and so on. Because I know the points have been made pretty clear that you don't want to have a vagabond program.
I think Mario's point and Jeff's earlier point is right, in that it's in their best interest to limit the occupancy because it reduces wear and tear on the actual unit, but also anything, if there were substantial cheating of the system, so to speak, it would affect that mound system, and they're not cheap.
Yeah, and the county's also going to come down on them too if that's the case with the sanitary systems. If they get word of extra bedrooms used and so on from complaints or otherwise, there'll be maybe a problem.
And from their perspective, if they were 2-bedroom units, they could charge more in rent.
True.
So they're not going to want to be saying, hey, you can put a second bedroom in when think they're gonna keep pretty good. I think they'll be keeping a pretty good watch on how many people are in their unit, and it's part of their lease and part of their conditional use here too, so.
Different point, if we're done with that one. I wish the one couple hadn't left yet, because I was gonna ask them, when the lady made the point about how they manicure around their pond and how a corner of this is close to that, whatever, I didn't hear her come up with a real suggestion of, I was expecting to hear, so I wish that in this one spot you would do X. I didn't hear that, but I also probably wasn't exactly following all the geography and whatnot. So are we taking care of that lady's concern about the?
She was concerned about the fence. She was concerned about a fence. She said, in the end, she wanted a chain link fence, but I don't know if that makes a difference whether it's. Right.
Yes, yeah.
Is the solution, kind of.
So was she okay with, so I did hear her say chain link, but she didn't go to the point of saying, so I wish you would change your description of the fence to a chain link.
No, but and if you don't feel a chain, I mean, you can, a chain link fence is easier to climb than a board-on-board wooden fence, so.
Personally, I think the wood fence fits better.
It fits better, right, exactly. So, a chain link fence you can hop over instantly.
All right.
One, if there's hunting concerns about bow and arrow, an arrow goes through a chain link
Chain
fence
link
and-
easier, yeah.
Easier at least, yeah.
So I think, I think in the end we got to the right spot.
Okay.
All
So
right,
All right.
if this is approved, I wouldn't issue the zoning permit until all of the conditions are satisfied, engineers' comments are satisfied, all that stuff, so.
all right, Plan Commission, recommendation of the village board to accept the site plan and plan of operation with all the conditions stated by our planner.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Village Board. Is there a motion to concur with Plan Commission's recommendation on the site plan of operation? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to Village Board and Plan Commission review of Tim Bordeaux's request for a conceptual land division for the property located at South 93 West 220075 Henneberry Avenue, located in Vernon, Wisconsin. Sean, you wanna?
Yeah, just gotta pull up the,
To the right page.
yeah. So hopefully this is a little quicker than the last one. Just- Okay, so fairly simple request to understand here. They own a 9.75 acre property on Henneberry. They would like to divide it for a family member. Essentially, there's a house and a couple of accessory buildings on the property. The only reason it's really here for conceptual review is because the shape of the lots are a little irregular. The property is currently zoned A5 Mini Farm District, which is a 5 acre minimum lot size. But the comprehensive plan has it as suburban density residential, which allows, development is as dense as residential requiring 1.5 to 4.9 acres per dwelling unit. So it can be divided according to the comp plan and the size that they have. That's no problem. They would rezone it to A2 rural home potentially, which would require a minimum lot area of 3 acres and a minimum average width of 2 acres. It meets all those conditions, right? So that's not a problem. Come back to the rezone. But if you look up here, there's some wetlands in the front of the property. They'd be sharing a driveway coming in, again, which is fine. Each lot would have frontage onto Henneberry. One lot would only be 91, so again, this is a bit of a flag lot, just like we approved for the Sedella development. So that's essentially what they're asking, is if this flag lot would be amenable to get this development to happen, essentially. So it meets all the conditions, it just doesn't meet the configuration. Meets the average lot width front to back, that's fine, it just, you know, it's irregular shaped.
But the 91 is greater than the number it has to be, though.
It's gotta be 66 feet of frontage, but it's still technically a flag lot based on the ordinance. And so we have to grant a waiver for that. Wouldn't be granting it tonight, but this would give him the, you know, the ability to come back with a CSM and a rezone application to move forward.
Tonight seemed like the first time I've ever heard you use the term flag.
Is that right? Yeah.
And it's been said like 6 times.
But
Oh, yeah, yeah. So the reason we try to prohibit them is essentially that it creates weird development patterns sometimes. And so if you allow flag lots and parcels to piggyback other parcels to get to the main road, it creates all kinds of problems down the road if the development pattern is disrupted. But again, in this case, it's one lot, it's one wooded lot. This, you know, the development potential of this lot is pretty limited anyway, so I don't think it's gonna necessarily be an issue. And both of them are big enough or wide enough if you ever had to get a public road back there for some reason.
And we could show you some really awful flag lots. This is nothing.
You could do it. I don't think this has a big impact on the surrounding development pattern, so.
why wasn't the property line split more down the middle of the lots? Is it?
Guess we can ask the petitioner.
Sean drew it up for me, so I just kind of went what he drew.
That's pretty fair.
Well, no, I mean, I can do whatever. And
Tim,
the only thing is,
Tim, can you come up?
You wanted like the certain size for this lot.
you said, is that on?
You're on, you're on.
Yeah,
You're good.
okay, you said minimum of 3. I'll leave it up to you guys. It could be 3, it could be 4. I don't care whatever you guys decide, I'm fine with, so.
Yeah, if it's
my son wants to build a house, so.
If it's 3, it would be more down the middle. If it's, you know, it's 4, it's not.
And I can redesign that however you guys feel it's appropriate, I guess.
The other thing is there would be obviously an access agreement that would be recorded on this lot. So this lot would have access in that same location. They both have frontage, but there would be an agreement as part of the CSM.
I guess the question is, would it be better to have it 4 acres or 3 acres? I guess, what do you guys?
It doesn't, the 3 versus 4 doesn't change any of the factual elements here in terms of the flag lot or having the right of way.
I mean, it
or
becomes
whatever.
less, this larger lot is less of a flag lot, I think, in that case, right? And flag lot's not defined in our ordinance in any way. It's really just it's you know, it's the pole and the flag at the back. And so it doesn't say what size the pole is. It's really just prohibited in the ordinance, however we see fit to define it, unless it's waived. So it's up to you. I think it'd be more regular if you went right down the middle. I think.
So
this is a 3
I
acre
could
lot.
cut that down to 3 acres?
Yeah, I think this is less of a flag lot, and maybe that's not
I'm
a
fine
concern.
with that.
You guys agree that would be
If
better?
that also meets your needs.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to push
I mean,
on
3
it.
acres is a good, I mean, that's a good parcel for a house, so I mean, right down the road in Big Bend, they're selling them for half acres or less than half acres, which drives me nuts, but, I mean, 3 acres would be totally fine too.
I'm good with it either way, really.
Okay, so, I mean, I think that's a better shape if it's right down the middle. I don't know why, I don't remember our discussion in terms of why we didn't.
I don't know if
do
the
that in first
wetland
place.
was making a difference there or something.
Wetlands, probably setbacks, if you could plot, is there any environmental corridor or anything that they
There's
have to worry
isolated
about?
natural resource area in the front, but it doesn't really matter if
Not
it's a
wanting
lot
to
line.
disturb.
Yeah,
I suppose the access agreement covers the driveway, so it doesn't really matter.
right.
So yeah, I guess let's make
Okay.
it a straight line and
Or a straighter line, yeah.
straighter line. Yeah.
Well, you'd hire your surveyor. You wouldn't come back conceptually again. Just tell your surveyor what you want, and we can bring it back with a rezoning application and your certified survey map.
So if I tell surveyor 3 acres?
Show them this map and just say, make this line go straight and make sure it's at least 3 acres, and that's it. And the other thing to note is that the right-of-way has not been dedicated yet, so that will have to happen as part of this. And we talked about that 33 feet has to get dedicated to the town. So you'll lose You're 9.75 acres now, you'll be down to like 9.5 to divide between the two.
The other thing to think about is maybe think of the footprint of the building that you're looking to have on that smaller parcel, because it might jut out that way because that's topography, trees that are there that you kind of wanted it to be seated in there. So just think of plotting that building on it.
Because your setbacks, you gotta be set back from the lot lines, right? So I think. Right.
He's an expert now.
So. Yes, I think we're all kind of agreement, can work with it either way, but would prefer a straighter line down the middle if possible.
All right, thanks.
So what would I?
Just hire a surveyor to do your CSM. You'd fill an application out for your CSM and your rezoning to A2, right? And then we'll get you on the agenda as soon as you're ready.
There's not like a certain time we have to come back with it or anything?
No, whenever you're ready. I mean, within reason, if it's a year or two, we might have a different plan commission and board, who knows? And
Yeah, and Tim, I'll email you some stuff Monday to give to your surveyor.
Yeah, to my work email?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, guys.
all right, thanks.
Thank you for listening to the whole plan commission meeting.
I sit, I work in Muskego, so I sit through.
That's
a lot of
right, you
plans.
do, yeah.
I'm not plan commission, but I sit through a lot of meetings at City Hall in Muskego, so I know what's up. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, discussion and possible action to authorize village planner to begin the comprehensive plan for the village of
We do.
Vernon.
Did we take the sign off? Oh, that's after.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
after, yeah.
Didn't we?
I
didn't-
thought we
We
already
talked
did that.
about it, but we
Yeah.
never, you guys thought, said you wanted to think about it
Yep,
with the
we have
budget and
money.
everything else.
We need to start that.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Did we set a dollar limit on?
It's like 20,000
Yeah.
this year and 20,000 next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
Around that figure. So it'd just be the plan commission make a recommendation to the village board to start the process, and then the village board would concur, and then Sean would start, and we'd
I
get
get to
going.
work, yeah.
Yep.
I will make that recommendation.
Is there a second from plan commission?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Village board,
I'll make that motion to concur.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Sean, get to
Thank
work.
you, thank you very much.
Minutes?
Minutes from May 13th. Plan commission, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I didn't see anything.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have to abstain
Mari, you're abstaining?
because I wasn't here.
Oh, that's good, that's a good reason.
Any other discussion?
We should check and make sure we have him as absent on there.
All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Village board, is there a motion to approve the minutes from May 13th?
Actually, we do have Mario as a present.
We'll fix that. That was a test.
Busy wedding planning.
Is there a motion to approve with that one change?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion for the village board to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Village board's adjourned
But
for
don't go
a
anywhere.
few minutes.
Don't go anywhere, you got a meeting
yet.
after, sit down.
All right, Plan Commission, review and possible action on the replacement of a sign located at W228S6942 Enterprise Drive for the USA Investments LLC, VNT number 201-998-2020, located in the village of Vernon.
Okay, make it short and sweet here. This is the multi-unit condo building here on the east side of Enterprise Drive. There's an existing sign out there now. They want to replace it. They're doing some branding. The way signage is measured, essentially, it's based on, with a multi-tenant building, it's how much square footage each unit takes up, essentially. So for the first 75, sorry, I gotta look at this. So basically, buildings in this zoning district are allowed 75 square foot of signage for the first 100 feet of the building on a road, and then 75 feet for each additional 100 feet essentially prorated, and so it's divided up among the tenants based on how much square footage they have. They're entitled to, based on the size of the building, 7% of the signage allowed for that building face, which is only 22 square feet of signage. They're proposing about 26 square feet of signage, which is more than that. We allow a waiver not to exceed 25%, so you can go up to 27.5 square feet of signage. I think this is a good case for a waiver just based on the fact that it's a multi-tenant building. The larger the building, the smaller the signage essentially gets on those buildings, so I don't see an issue. The sign looks, it looks fine up there in terms of it doesn't look overpowering or too large. It's got the logo and then their information. So nice looking sign. It's not internally illuminated. It's just a wall sign that's attached to the building. So we'd need essentially approval with the approval of the waiver. And so the Plan Commission must determine that the exception won't be inconsistent or contradictory to the purpose, intent of the ordinance, won't violate the spirit or intent of the sign regulations, and won't be contrary to the public health, safety, and welfare, won't be hazardous, harmful, noxious, offensive, or a nuisance, or will not cause substantial adverse effects on the property values and desirability of the neighborhood, and it won't be incompatible to the surrounding land uses. So if you find all that to be true, you can approve the waiver and the signage.
I recommend we approve the waiver.
Second.
Any more discussion?
And signage.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
Plan Commission, is there a meeting to adjourn?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, dear.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.
I was gonna say I use the bathroom. Can we get like 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes. So we have to appoint a fire commissioner. They need to have a meeting like yesterday.
When's the next fire commission meeting?
Yeah.
1 minute.
I thought more people would be coming for that.
pledge?
Yeah, I
No.
there'd be more to, and it was.
Yeah, we do.
comments were-
Who put that on there?
You said it
I put
once.
everything
I
on.
did it twice tonight. I was finance too.
Did I unplug it?
Time.
And next time there's a residential development. No. It's too much. It's too much for me.
I won nothing.
But obviously good ballot and the fence. That's what it says. I still don't understand the size of those.
Me neither. God, I'd
Well,
hate to clean that thing.
with
Happy
no-
4th of July, Plan
No
Commission
basement,
members.
so you kinda need the storage.
Happy 4th of July.
But they were labeled as.
Thanks, guys.
And the rent sounded a little too cheap, I thought.
I do too. God, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good, Jared's a good guy.
Helps. Things are greening up.
Last, I talked to Vince, he was gonna kind of start the process of talking to Brett about addressing the street and that type of stuff, so we can pull permits and whatnot.
Right.
I got the condo.
No, I think we only got maybe 3 tenths this afternoon or something. It wasn't, it was a good rain, but I think there's.
Okay.
So I just wanted to put that
Yeah.
on your.
Yeah.
At least we didn't get the
Yeah.
severe storms. I had a couple trees down.
Have a good night.
Bye, take care, Sean. Yeah, like I said, when I
One,
talked to Jared, I'd
you'll
like
be able
to
to see
get
on
your
2,
talking to him about the
where the sand
addresses and
traps
stuff.
are.
Yeah,
And then
'cause
one
I'd
down
like to
by
get
the
a,
river, one down on 5, yeah. At least they're kind of out of the way.
yeah, Brett doesn't do anything with addresses.
Yeah, I don't remember
It's
it
all
being
Vince.
that.
I used to. I don't anymore.
Because Brett puts he orders the sign. Yeah. Yeah.
No, we got
But
a
he
quick
can't do
meeting here.
anything.
We got to approve a fire commissioner. Have a good night. All right, let's call this meeting in order.
Everybody's back. I'm sorry. You want to do the pledge?
No, we did it twice. I did it twice.
I think I still have this on. Is that okay?
All right, miscellaneous matters, appoint member to the Vernon Fire Commission for a term ending on 4/30/2029.
You feel comfortable with that first Brad? What's his name, Brad?
Yes, Bradley, P-O-L-A-S.
Yeah, And you talked to him and he was willing? Okay.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bradley Pulaski, the fire commission.
Term
whatever
ending
term that's left.
2029. I will second it. Any comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Pose? Motion passes unanimously. Motion to adjourn? Fighting over it. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. So when's the next plan commission meeting?
July 10th.
Oh, they're-
July 8th.
They're not having one sooner, I thought? Or did they have one the other day? Plan commission, not plan commission.